Okay.
So I'm sending the document agenda in the Zoom chat. Please add yourself to the attendees list. And if you have any discussion point, please add to the agenda so we can talk about that. So let's wait another minute. So meanwhile, we're waiting. Friendly reminder, if you want to submit a talk at KubeCon, the main track deadline is now closed, but until the 3rd of December, the collocated events are still open, and maintainer track instead, it's around, I forgot, let me check, 31st of December, so end of the year. Okie dokie, I think we can kick it off. So, some status updates. The governance committee election. This is the list of current nominees. It's not yet done. I need to fix Anna image, and that's something for David. But until the end of the week, we still have time to propose people or propose yourself, and then the voting period can start. Then another personal service announcement. We are migrating our Keptn Slack. Since we don't have any more an open source license, Slack changed the policies, we decide to migrate everything towards the CNCF Slack. So we are more closer to other CNCF projects. It's easier to find people there. We don't need to ask people to join yet another new Slack server. So I forgot, I could have sent the link where we are migrating to. So please join us over the CNCF Slack. Then another service announcement for everyone. Keptn V1 end of life scheduled for the 22nd of December. So if you are still running Keptn V1, look into the lifecycle toolkit, and we are there to support you migrating to the new version of Keptn, because by the 22nd of December, no more security update bug fixes will be done. It will be the last official Keptn V1 release for that part of the project. And then I can hand over to you, Rakshit, for question regarding the Keptn demo.
Yes, actually, I wanted to ask that if we have any demo written somewhere around the pre-deployment checks, evaluations. I wanted to use it in my GitOps talk.
Yes, we do have something here in the example folder. In the sample application, there are some pre-deployment tasks that are run, which I don't remember exactly what we are doing. Yes, a task that checks that a specific pod is alive, and we check if we have enough CPUs to schedule the pod to a node. So actually, you can look into this.
I tried to install it, but I was facing some errors. Something around that cert manager file is missing or something. I'll share it in the Slack then, the error.
Yes, perfect. Then ping us. Thank you.
Okay. There's also I don't know if it helps, Rich, but there's a guide chapter about evaluations. It's not wonderful, but it's got a little bit of information.
Okay, thank you. I'll look into it.
If you can't find it, holler, ping me and I'll send you a link.
Sure. Thank you.
Thanks to you for using Keptn for your demo.
Yes.
And share the video of your talk after it has been published.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other news talking points from the community? If not, then we can jump to the next time block about documentation. Do we
Yeah.
have something here?
Mo, do you want to show where you are on the new tools? I assume that's what we would use that blog for, and then I've got tickets.
Sure. Did I show it off last week? I don't remember.
You show something, yeah. But
Yeah,
it was
but
in the
I can
US.
show it again. It was
Yeah.
the US. Yeah, makes sense. So I'll show
and
it
you've
again.
done stuff since then. The
I started implementing.
right. Well, last time we showed new structure, I think. I don't think we showed new tools
Oh, okay.
to read the docs and all
Sure.
that.
So I evaluated a new tool for our documentation, which actually turned out to be much easier to maintain and also to host, which is called MKDocs. And specifically the material for MKDocs theme, which kind of takes MKDocs, which is pretty basic, I would say. So this is the page here. Yeah, you get kind of the same page as this, basically. This is the basic theme. This is the underlying static site generator that will replace Hugo that we are currently using. And then on top of that, we're using the material for MKDocs theme, which is, as you would have expected, material design. Well, it's following the material design guidelines loosely, I would say, at this point. But yeah, this is the material page for this, and our new docs page will look fairly similar. So I kind of set up this POC here to see how it all looks. You get nice features, like we have these tabs here. We're gonna have a new landing page here, and then a tab for docs and contributing a community. You get light and dark mode. It also checks what your OS setting is and will take the right version. You'll get the version dropdown again. That's actually something that will change. We're only gonna have latest and stable in here and not any of the actual tags. And then the docs in general will look pretty similar. You'll still have your left navigation sidebar with other pages. But yeah, it's still marked down below, so we can also check my POC repo here. So this is the repo I used here. There's one config file, same as we had for Hugo, basically. Although it's much easier because Hugo we had different config folders, and there was config.yaml, params.yaml, and then per stage basically as well. So staging and the production and development and stuff. It was pretty complicated to actually find out what your current config is. So this is much easier. We have this one YAML file. This is the whole config, and that's it. One thing that changed drastically is how you set up the navigation. So before we had weights, and you configured that. Let's open the docs page here. You configured that in the front meta of the page. Let's get the guides maybe, Dora, code. Yeah, so here you had this weight setting, and according to the weight, Hugo would order your pages in the nav section. And for read the docs, it's different. In the config, you just define your whole navigation with all the files, you give it the right links. And this is how the sidebar will look. That's it. There's no weights. You do it explicitly here in the configuration, and that's it.
Well,
And
where's the
then
published title configured?
the
Because
what?
you said that the metadata at the top of the file is going away, right?
Yes.
Okay, so where is the actual title for each file defined?
And in the H1, in the first title of the Markdown. That's it.
Oh, okay. So instead of having the metadata, we'll have
There's no front
top of
meta.
header.
It's even more basic YAML, basic Markdown. No
Okay,
front
good.
meta anymore. But that also means, which is actually something that we'll lose, is the subtitles / descriptions for a page. That's
Okay.
something that is actually supported, but it's a paid feature of Material for MK Docs, and we don't have that. So you will just have the headline, and then anything below can just be the description that you want.
Okay.
Want
Sounds
that.
good.
But in general, the front meta is just not needed anymore.
Yep.
What else? Yeah, the rest is just basic Markdown as before. Some smaller stuff changed, like how you would integrate external files. There's this include shortcut that we can use now. Other than that, it's basically the same for actually writing the docs. But the cool thing is that maintenance and versioning and hosting will get much easier for the maintainers, which is great. Also, personally, I like the theme more. I like Material. It's good and it's well established and known at this point, which is great. The only challenge for us will be to set up a new landing page. Right now, where's the page? Right now, I just did a super basic thing here. Yeah, we'll kind of need a new landing page that also fits into the theme and stuff. But yeah, I think that's it. Maybe something to add. We already decided that we are gonna go with that and already set up tickets for this. And you will find all the tickets in this epic here, the website overhaul epic. I will also copy this into here. Yeah, so you'll find all of the tickets for this here. And in the end of this epic, basically, we will switch this page to be the live version. Actually, we'll do that when Keptn v1 is URL, and then we'll reuse the Keptn.sh URL instead of lifecycle.keptn.sh. Yeah, any questions? Okay, cool.
That's a perfect segue to the next point, which is the new URLs that we planned. Since the old Keptn would be end of life by the 22nd of December, we want to use the main Keptn.sh website to represent the lifecycle toolkit. Therefore, the old Keptn v1 documentation website would be under v1.keptn.sh/docs. It's already live, already configured. Now it's a complete mirror. Every time we change the keptn.github.io repo, the website is built and then pushed towards both URLs. And here we'll have still the old Keptn v1 documentation. And you can see the PR here, if you're interested. Any questions? If nothing more from the documentation, also if you have anything that you'd like to discuss, just add that to the chat. Otherwise, we can go to the next item, which is refinement. Moritz, do you want to do the honor?
Yes.
Thank you.
Although many of the tickets are actually authored by Flo and he will take over. Shall we first?
Oh, yes, go ahead, please.
Shall we first do refinement or the needs discussion?
I wanted the need
tickets?
discussions because since we are on the documentation part.
We can talk about this here maybe.
Yeah.
Wait, no, that's not the one I wanted to talk about. This one first. That's one of the things still for the new docs page. And I think we discussed this a little bit last week. and I did some more research and found something very cool for us. So this is kind of along the lines of what do we want to do with versioning on the new docs page. As you know, right now, we have this releases drop down here with all of our versions, and then development, which is basically the state of the main branch right now, the unreleased main branch. And those versions, except for new features, are basically the same. And we don't really need this much granularity, I would say. So I suggested in this ticket here to move away from it and instead just have a static documentation set, basically. And if I recall correctly, we had a discussion about how we will handle unreleased features. And I found out something really cool that we can do in Read the Docs, which is our hosting provider, the new one. We can just have stable, the stable tag, and then the latest tag. And stable is just going to be the latest GitHub tag that is built, and latest is main branch. And this will basically solve exactly our needs. So anything that's pushed to main branch, which is unreleased basically, will be under the latest URL, and everything that's released will be under the stable URL. And other than that, we don't have any reference to any actual version numbers. So it would look... Sorry?
Go ahead. I have a comment when you're done presenting.
So this is what it would look like. You just have latest and stable here. And latest will have a nice announcement at the top that you're not in a released version of the docs or Keptn of Keptn, with a link to back to the stable version basically. And then stable is just the latest release. That would kind of be how it would look like. If we would have actual version numbers, they would show up here as well. But I don't think we actually need them. The only thing where we will really need them is for upgrade documentation, and we can actually be started already, I think, with just having that on a static page with the version number that you want to upgrade to. Mac, you were saying something.
Okay, yeah, I have a couple of it. One is using latest. There's sort of a convention for people who set bookmarks that my URL has latest in it, and I set that as a bookmark, and then when a new release comes out, my bookmarks still work. So maybe we could call latest something else. Or maybe it works if it's just, you know, so many people are used to latest. I guess we could call it stable instead of latest.
I think we cannot. This is kind of like a magic keyword, basically. Also, it really depends on what you look like. Read the docs is mostly used for Python documentation, and there it's standard to do it this way. Stable is latest stable version.
Okay.
The only thing you can actually do differently here is what is the default version when you go to the page, either
Right.
latest or stable. But I don't think you can actually change the name of it. Or can you? No, you cannot.
That's odd because I mean, so many places are using the latest in the URL to mean this is the current released version.
Yep, yeah.
I'm surprised it doesn't support that. A bigger concern, we don't need to go back to 041 like we do now, I don't think. But I mean, we can write the docs to support previous versions, and I have no aversion. But so far we've been so I'm a user, I'm running my stuff on this release on Monday, and Tuesday the Keptn project releases a new release and all of my docs are gone. So for instance, like right now, we have a couple of versions back if you installed from a manifest, how you work with that. And we just then drop that in the current because we don't support it anymore. And if you're running an older version, you've got that there. But under your scenario, I mean, that doc is going to get pulled out of, and no user upgrades their software that quickly. It's like, it's just going to be at the moment they lose everything. And users tend to be slow on upgrading their software, especially when they get into production, we get into enterprise. So I would lobby for having maybe 1 or 2 previous versions displayed, not a lot, not 041.
So for maintainability, I think the options are versions or no versions, not how many versions.
Okay.
That would require manual intervention again, which is fine in this case, I guess, because we don't release that many versions, but it's easy to forget.
I mean, we can also write the docs so that each version includes significant information that people running older versions would need.
And we kind of do that already.
Yeah,
We
my
cannot.
question is, how much breaking change do we introduce in order to justify having different versions of the documentation? Because the main thing, thanks to the operator framework of Kubernetes, we can handle transition between different APIs. We are also towards more a stable API definition. So we don't have many breaking changes that we need to have different documentation version for it, beside installation and upgrades. And for that, we can embed this information directly into the documentation itself. So we don't need to version our documentation.
Right. Yeah, and the CRD reference pages already have difference between versions.
Yeah.
And that's why that's there. So we can do that. Yeah, installation is what concerns me.
Yeah,
And
that's what Giovanni said, basically. We can have the version-specific information there on the page statically, basically.
right, or maybe have a separate page under the installation section that's installing previous. As there may be install and uninstall. There may be a couple of things, but yeah. Oh, that is a paradigm switch. I'm perfectly happy with it. But we have to do it if we're gonna.
Yeah, for the rest of the docs, I think with the switches we did now to the structure, I think we should be in a state where pages won't move around crazily anymore. I don't know if you agree. I would say mostly.
Yeah, docs change over time.
Yeah,
And
but the cool thing is Reader also easily supports redirects. So if a page actually moves and we want to preserve the link, we can have a redirect for it.
okay. And we might want to be more savvy when for instance, when analysis is part of the official, just at the beginning of the guide chapter on analysis and in the reference pages for those resources say this is, release such and such forward. Yeah, we might, when that comes, we might have, for a short time, we might retain the instructions for unlooping the feature flag on the previous release if you wanted to do analysis on the feature release. So, yeah. Okay. That seems, and we'll keep our eye out for anything else. I mean, yes, we can write our way out of it. I mean, we can always, if there was something that was really different between 11 and 12, we could have a separate page on, doing evaluations in 11 or something.
Yeah.
So.
I think for the amount of changes that we have, it's easier to do it in documentation compared to having the different versions. I don't think we'll win a lot by having the different versions.
Yeah, personally, I've always favored that because
cool.
Users are careless what they pull a set of docs and they expect them to work for whatever they're using. So I kind of prefer having the docs when versions matter, have the docs be explicit about that.
Okay, cool.
Okay, good.
Then I think with this, actually, any other opinions?
Yeah.
Also, definitely asking the community here. The community people.
Come on, guys, speak up.
If not, I would conclude this discussion here and say we go with it.
That's good. content. Comment that, why don't we say the community meeting, 11/29/20. For historical record, if anybody wants to go back and see the discussion. 29th.
Cool. That's that. Then what else do we have to discuss? Shall we move on to refinement for now, or shall we discuss more? Do we have a conclusion for this already? 2 versus 7. I think that's a clear sign to not do this. I guess we can conclude this as well afterwards. I'll just write another note here. This one, I added a needs discussion again, since Anna and I had some new information about that as far as I remember. Anna, do you want to talk about this?
Yes, I think the discussion was about whether or not we should enable user in the image of Dino to set up particular things such as allowing network, allowing read, allowing write, this kind of comments that may be needed if you want to do something a little bit more fancy than just print out something on a shell. And on the other side, what the user was just asking was about having the possibility to install plugin. So changing the Docker image to actually run a Dino install of whatever plugin you pass via command line as an argument. And in my mind, like I think Mo also was of the same, having this second change would kind of go outside of the idea of giving a simple startup image, because you build your own container and do whatever you want with it. What is the point of us allowing you to install plugins? But maybe some of the required tag flags like allow read and allow write could be useful. So the question here is now, should we add them by whenever the user requests some of them? Should we just give the possibility to the user to override them? Should we even consider this part about the plugin installation at all?
I have one question for the Python runtime. Where do I specify this extra command line?
In the Python runtime, this works that you can pass it in the entry point as an argument
Yes,
to the
but
Python.
can I configure this then in the
In the
operator?
YAML file, when we...
In the tasks definition?
Yes. And we already have this field enabled in the task definition, which means that anybody can configure it.
Yes, I don't like that. It should
Yeah.
be a static field, honestly.
So something we set up only at installation of Keptn.
Or yes, or inside the Keptn config or something like that. Because I would expect that me as a administrator of the platform, I deploy Keptn and I configure the operator to allow this specific set of parameters. For instance, I don't want to have any tasks that can reach outside of my cluster for internal policies. And here instead, I cannot enforce that, since any task can ask for any type of permissions. In Python, this CMD is to do what exactly?
The same thing, basically.
Yeah.
But this allows you to pass command line flags to Python.
I don't recall the details, but back then we had a discussion. This was needed if you wanted to enable some debugging, maybe, I don't recall. There was
The
a clear
question is,
mistake I had in mind.
who do we optimize for in this case? Do we optimize for people who run tasks, or do we optimize for platform engineers, basically?
Good point. That boils down to it. Because also, there is the argument that we allow to configure the Dino base image used to run tasks and such, the same for Python. So people can customize their own base image with already those parameters if they want.
But then what is the
But
point?
that's an install time configuration, not a
Or I
runtime.
did, yeah. Also runtime, because after I deploy, I can change the environmental variables of the operator.
Yes, but you would need to redeploy, basically. You would need to have upgrade and change the value and stuff.
I'm falling down. Yes.
I feel like our specific runtimes should be good for what they are, and if you have any specific needs, you can use the container runtime and customize it however you want and have all the flexibility you need. I don't think we need to have lots of flexibility in Dino and Python specifically.
No, they are meant for debugging and prototyping.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
doing things fast and easy.
But going back to the specific of Dino, like the ticket, for instance, I think it was Adam that was asking for this feature. He wanted to use the plugin clone. So he needs write and read permission, right? This is probably something which is base enough need for prototyping.
True.
Like if I cannot read and write, what can I do?
I mean, we do a lot networking here, so you could like
Yeah, you could have
trigger
a
any
webhook.
webhook, trigger a Lambda, whatever.
Yeah.
Allow
But
write and read should be there, I would say, because you're just editing an in-memory.
Like we could have them by default added without any fancy configuration.
My follow-up to that would be that we have inconsistency in features between Dino and Python.
Should we get rid of the Python feature if we agree that this is
I
no?
really want to know why we added it in the first place.
Can you blame and see?
I added it, but that was in the ticket, and I do not recall what was the
Yeah,
discussion.
exactly. That's why I wanted to blame, so we can.
Yeah, but blame what?
One of the two.
I mean, that's the initial
ticket.
Yeah, that's the setup of the Python. This was in the ticket to create the Python.
Oh, really?
Can you open the tracking task?
Oh, there are so many.
Okay, I don't think we need to figure this out now.
Yeah.
I guess we could go with adding allow read and allow write because it's pretty basic functionality that you will probably need. I don't think we need to go with allowing plugins to be installed.
No unstable flag.
Yeah.
And no install.
Yeah. So I will take a note for myself and just create a follow-up ticket that just does that and link it here. Because this is more discussion than anything else.
I'll try to figure out the original idea behind the Python command.
That's good.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, I'll remove the label here. And use the label to jump back. Okay, this we kind of discussed already. This one, Meg. Mac, do you want to talk about this?
I am talking about it. I'm just muted.
Oh,
Let's try it this way. Unpleasant to have. Excuse me. And I apologize, but we're starting to come up with some style guidelines. And there's a couple of things that are sort of glaring inconsistencies to your doc that we probably need to agree on what we want. My presupposition is that we really want to avoid the effort of making our own style guide. And I'm sort of inclined, I like the Google style guide. I think it's got a lot of stuff in it. I mean, for people who need all of that stuff, it's not bad. Just good general writing stuff. Um, some big topics. I've got here the big issues that I thought I'd pick out a few that we should go for quickly. What sort of capitalization do we use for the titles? The Google recommends sentence case, which I rather like. So a title for a section or anything else is initially capped and nothing else is capitalized unless it's a proper term. Does anybody object? Okay. American versus British spelling. I always feel bad about that because I think of all the people in the world who read English, probably more of them are trained on British spelling, but companies tend to standardize on American spelling because Americans are what they are. And this also becomes though the spell checker apparent does not will accept both British and American spelling. So um I could actually live with us saying that you'll find both in the docs, deal with it. Or we could, I don't know, Mo, is there a way in spell checker to disallow if you're curious and want to check, by the way, there's a link. The Wikipedia link has a list of common words where the spellings are different. It's interesting. There's a few countries that recognize both, but if you want to see them, we could
Can't we
read it.
say that we support global English, which is a superset of every way of spelling a word, color
Ah,
with you or without? It's part of global English.
That's disgusting, though. I don't want to keep on reading between S and Z, and like it's nice to have a career and
yeah.
documentation.
And the one that like one page should sort of be consistent, but that doesn't because one page may have contributions from different people.
I vote
Um,
for consistency. I don't care what it is really.
okay.
Just FYI, we're kind of running out of time and want to refine some more issues.
Oh, okay, so let's go fast. Um, the use of please, the Google Doc recommends not to. I would go with that. Let's go through these quickly and
Sounds
we
good.
can come,
What about must? You must do this and that.
as opposed to you need to, or, yeah,
Yeah, because we have that.
that would be another, yeah, I would much favor, again, I don't remember what they say. Um,
It's not in here.
I'll look it up. Let me look that up and I'll add that too. Um, do you have, yeah, I just think need to is weak prose and must is. Do you have an opinion, Morris?
Although must is a little harsh, I would say. But
Right.
I don't have a strong opinion, honestly.
Okay. Let me look and see what Google's recommending.
Okay.
I
Timeless
would
document.
interpret must in the sense of the RFC type of must. Let me Google it something
Like
like
there is no way it will work if you don't do this.
if you look at the entry in the abstract, there is usually must not, should not, and the definition of this. Must
have
is
a look?
means
Oh.
that the definition is an absolute requirement of the specification.
Okay, in a spec, I agree. In prose,
Really?
I don't know.
In prose, I mean, must is not the same as should. That's definitely.
Yeah.
I noticed. I think Adam in the one of the getting started guides has some little best practices notes, which is nice. Um, but okay,
Okay,
I will
well,
add that. I'll do some research.
yeah, to
Let's
go
see.
faster here, I think
Timeless duck. Yeah,
I think this needs a little bit more refinement anyways, since you want
I
to
would
research
agree.
some stuff. So we could postpone this to next week
Yes, sounds
and
good.
then refine it next week.
Yes.
But I think we don't need to actually discuss it really.
Okay.
I think most people are just fine with a fixed standard and then go with it. Cool. Sorry for interrupting you, Mike.
No, that's fine.
Let's hop over to our last time block, which is refinement. And we have lots of tickets to refine. That's why I'm kind of pressing on here. Flo, do you want to just straight take over and go through the context propagation?
Yeah, absolutely.
As fast as possible.
Pardon?
As fast as possible, but not too fast.
Okay, yeah. Maybe a real quick introduction about this epic. If you scroll down upwards a little bit. So basically the goal here is to introduce this Keptn app context concept, which will allow us to propagate OpenTelemetry trace ID across multiple stages. So right now we have traces for a deployment of a certain app in one namespace, for example, but we also want to extend Keptn with the capability of linking together multiple deployments across different stages by propagating this W3C trace ID across Keptn apps. Additionally to that, the Keptn context should also provide the means of passing metadata attributes in the form of key value pairs, and those will be attached to the spans that the lifecycle controller creates as span attributes. And then finally, right now we have basically two ways of handling Keptn apps. So one way is creating them manually with the workload version metrics and the pre and post deployment steps. And the other one is to let Keptn automatically create the Keptn app with the version metrics. And this will also change. So basically in going forward, Keptn will always create the Keptn app containing the version metrics, because we got the feedback that users don't really want to be responsible for defining which versions of which workload are going to be in a Keptn app. So that's going to be done automatically. And the part of defining pre and post deployment tasks and evaluations will be moved into this new Keptn app context CRD. This is going to be optional. So when a Keptn app version is reconciled, it's going to check whether this has been defined in this new CRD and then execute those tasks and propagate the metadata and the trace link if it's there. Otherwise, it will proceed with deploying the Keptn app as it did previously with the auto app discovery feature. Any questions so far about the overall concept? All right, then if not, let's start with the actual tickets. So to get started with the actual implementation of those new features, we have to do some housekeeping. The first item, therefore, is to move our CRDs in the lifecycle API group to v1 beta 1. So right now we are using the ones I've listed here. And those are located in the v1 alpha 3 and v1 alpha 4 package. And those that I've listed here should be moved to the v1 beta 1 package. There's also two CRDs that we can drop, which we don't need to migrate, which is the Keptn evaluation provider and the workload instance. So those are not used anymore. And yeah, so this is, I think, relatively straightforward. We've done this kind of issue a couple of times. So basically the acceptance criteria is that we have all those CRDs in the new v1 beta 1, that they can be applied added to the Helm chart, and of course, the documentation needs to be updated. Any questions about that? All right, then let's jump right into the next ticket.
Joffrey actually has a question, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Hi guys. So actually it's not like a question. So I'm just wondering if it's possible for me to work on one of the APIs. I want to get more experience moving from one version to another. If it's okay, I could pick up maybe Keptn task definition to migrate from alpha v4 to alpha beta 1, if that's okay.
So I think
In
the
general,
plan is...
those.
Sorry, go ahead, Phil. Go ahead.
Yeah, in general, those tickets are all relatively complex, so they will most likely not be a good first issue because there's a strong dependency between each of those, so they're all kind of on a critical path. But what I would encourage you to is to have a look at the PRs and also provide your feedback on them and act as a reviewer, essentially, if that would be okay for you.
Right, that could work. Thank you.
You can also, of course, as always, there's no stupid questions. You can just add questions to the PR reviews as well. If you want to know more about something or something like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right.
Can I do one quick interruption? Because I know that somebody is already waiting to work on this. Maybe I want to quickly go over this. I think it's this ticket, and then there was... actually, no, it's just this ticket. It's to add a new Helm value for the Kubernetes API service in the metrics operator. Flo, do you want to quickly talk about that as well? Or should I take over?
As you'd like, I can also summarize it. So basically in the metrics operator Helm chart, we right now always install those two resources that I've mentioned here. So the custom metrics extensions to the Kubernetes API server, and those are required for the HPA integration, right? But then it turned out some users already have their own custom metric extensions in place, like the Prometheus adapter. And in that case, they might not want to, or they might not need to use that particular feature of the metrics operator. And since those resources are now always installed together with the metrics operator, this kind of blocks users from using other features from the metrics operator because it cannot be installed due to the conflicts regarding these resources. So therefore, it might be beneficial to have an additional option in the Helm chart to enable or disable the installation of those, so they can make use of the other features like analysis and Keptn metrics.
Yeah. We had a very similar ticket or PR actually be merged like last week or this week. That's basically the same, just for a different Helm value. You can look at that if you want to have more insight. Other than that, Joffrey already wants to work on this. So now that's refined, that's good. And I will assign it to you right away.
I have a maybe silly question. If we disable the installation of the custom metrics, should we also switch off the metric server start in the metrics operator?
Yeah, would make sense, yeah, because this API is only used by the Kubernetes custom API extension. So to save some resources, we can then also disable this endpoint. Yeah,
This
that's
is in
a
the
good point.
main. In the main, we have a start server function.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
But
So this
then
means
I
that we
would,
will probably need to pass this through as an env variable as well. Right?
and we should also remove the service. The
The
Kubernetes service.
the service account also.
I think that's mentioned already. RBAC is
Yeah.
mentioned here.
Yeah.
There's an RBAC, yeah, for the HBA service account to be able to access those resources.
But this we agree it's at installation time, not configurable, right?
This is at installation time, yeah.
Okay.
And so we don't need the Kubernetes service, I would say, because that specific port is not used. But we will still run the Prometheus endpoint.
Okay.
Prometheus endpoint is in lifecycle operator. I mean,
Also in the
no.
metric.
Uh-huh. Yeah, we have two, true.
Okay. Any other questions about this? Cool. Okay, then I will hand it back to Flo. Sorry for the
All right.
interruption.
No problem. Can you go back to the tab with the tracking? Exactly. Yeah, so we've discussed the first. Now let's continue with the second one here, which is the introduction of the Keptn app context CRD. This is also relatively straightforward. So this is just about adding this new CRD, not making use of it yet in the operator. And yeah, as you can see here, the name is Keptn app context, and it contains the pre-deployment and post-deployment tasks and evaluations that used to reside in the Keptn app. And in addition to that, we have the metadata and trace links properties. Yeah, so it's just adding the CRD, making sure the CRD documentation is updated, and maybe adding a short integration test where we just apply an instance of this resource. All right. Then the next step is, since we, by this point, have added the V1 Beta 1 API in the lifecycle operator, this is about adapting the controllers and the webhook to, instead of using V1 Alpha 3/4, they all should be using V1 Beta 1. So this is mainly about adapting the imports all across the board. So in the controllers and the webhook package, those should be the relative ones. Of course, if there should be basically no usage of V1 Alpha versions anywhere in the logic. And yeah, also the V1 Beta 1 APIs should be marked as hard version. And yeah, and there should be a conversion webhook for the Keptn app. So basically the goal is to have the upgrade work on top of an existing installation, and it shouldn't break anything. Any questions about that? All right, then let's continue with the next. Yeah.
I have a question. You mentioned conversion webhooks. Is that actually possible between alpha and beta versions?
If the names of the resources do not change, then yes. I've also added a link to the POC that I did. So Hero is doing it like this. So
okay, thank you.
Giovanni suggested to continue next time since we're almost running out of time. Anything super important that we still need from this epic right now, right here? Or
I don't think so. I mean, the most critical to get us started with this whole epic is actually the housekeeping tasks that we just discussed. And once we have done a clean switch to V1 Beta 1, then the actual implementation is relatively straightforward. So I think we will progress relatively fast with the implementation tickets.
Okay, then I think we can just continue next week. Since there's still lots of tickets open, but we're kind of running out of time. Giovanni, do you want to share again, or any
No, I
last
think we
words?
can quick it out.
Any last words? Any questions from anybody? Okay, I
Then
have
have
some. Welcome, David. Thanks for your first contribution. Great to have you. And you already wrote me that you want to work on more stuff, right? So that's awesome.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is David. I just managed to get my PR merged yesterday. Thanks for smooth experience. So I will look into more tickets and I will see which kind I can contribute more. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks to
welcome
you.
and thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay, I think with that, we can conclude the meeting today.
Have a nice rest of your day, people. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.